The origins of the psychic village myth, folklore, remoteness, and the reality of Alaskan shamans. Introduction. Into the land of midnight spirits. What if, hidden among Alaska's endless forests and snowbound tundra, there existed a village where every inhabitant could read minds, summon spirits, or vanish at will? The myth of the psychic village has captured imaginations across the internet and beyond, blending indigenous legends, outsider fascination, and the psychological effects of isolation into a potent modern folklore. But where did this idea come from? Why does Alaska in particular seem to breed such stories? And how does the fantasy of a village of psychics compare to the real, respected role of shamans in Alaskan indigenous cultures? This exploration will unravel the tangled roots of the psychic village myth, tracing its origins through traditional folklore, internet storytelling, and the misinterpretation of indigenous practices. We'll examine how Alaska's remoteness feeds the fires of mystery, and contrast the mythic fantasy of a whole community of psychics with the nuanced, deeply respected reality of shamanic tradition. Here are the folkloric foundations, legends of power and the unseen. 1.1. The Little People and Hidden Villages. Alaska's indigenous oral traditions are rich with stories of supernatural beings and hidden communities. Among the most widespread are tales of the Little People, diminutive, powerful entities said to live in secret villages beneath the earth or within mountains. These beings, found in the legends of the Inupiat, Yupik, and other groups, are credited with extraordinary strength, speed, and magical abilities. They can make people disappear, control natural forces, and sometimes interact with humans in ways that blur the line between blessing and curse. The motif of a hidden community with supernatural powers, capable of manipulating perception, fate, or even the weather, closely parallels the psychic village myth. In some villages, the fear of the little people is so strong that seeing them is believed to result in abduction or death, reinforcing the idea of places imbued with inexplicable psychic-like powers. 2. Shapeshifters, mind manipulators, and the power to transform. Other legends, such as the Tlingit stories of the Kushtaka, describe shape-shifting otter beings who lure people into the wilderness, sometimes transforming them into more Kushtaka. These creatures are said to mimic human voices, create illusions, and cause people to become lost or forgetful, classic psychic effects that resonate with the idea of a village where perception and memory can be manipulated at will. Similarly, the Keelut, a hairless dog-like spirit, is believed to cause travelers to lose their way and forget who they are, leading to their deaths. The Kalupalik, an aquatic being, lures children away, using their energy to remain youthful. These stories, with their themes of abduction, transformation, and psychic manipulation, provide fertile ground for the later development of the psychic village myth. 1.3. Shamans, mediators, healers, and custodians of power. Central to many Alaskan indigenous cultures is the figure of the shaman, a spiritual leader, healer, and mediator between the human and spirit worlds. Shamans are believed to communicate with spirits, heal the sick, and influence the natural world through rituals, trance states, and the use of sacred objects. Their abilities, while extraordinary, are rooted in cultural tradition and spiritual practice, not in the Western notion of psychic powers. The shaman's role as a possessor of hidden knowledge and power may have contributed to the idea of entire villages with supernatural abilities. However, in reality, shamanic power is individual, earned through training, vision, and community recognition, not a universal trait of a whole community. 2. The Internet Age, Modern Storytelling, and the Birth of a Myth. 2.1. Reddit, YouTube, and the viral spread of mystery. In the digital age, stories of psychic villages have found new life on platforms like Reddit, YouTube, and podcasts. On forums such as RR Backwoods Creepy, Users claiming to be from remote Alaskan villages share personal and inherited stories of supernatural encounters, ranging from the little people to mysterious disappearances and inexplicable phenomena. These online discussions often blur the line between folklore and lived experience. Some participants, especially those with indigenous backgrounds, treat these tales as genuine possibilities, while others approach them with skepticism or curiosity. The respectful tone of many forums encourages open-mindedness, allowing myths to evolve and spread without ridicule. YouTube channels and podcasts dedicated to Alaskan mysteries amplify these stories, sometimes sensationalizing them, but also giving voice to indigenous perspectives. Facebook groups and Twitter threads further disseminate tales of psychic villages, often in the context of Alaska's remoteness and mystique. 2.2. The role of misinterpretation and myth-making. A key driver of the psychic village myth is the misinterpretation of indigenous practices by outsiders. Shamanic rituals, healing ceremonies, and spiritual beliefs are sometimes misunderstood or romanticized as evidence of psychic phenomena. This blending of indigenous spirituality with Western paranormal tropes is common in internet storytelling, leading to the creation of new myths or the exaggeration of existing ones. For example, stories of shamans communicating with spirits or entering trance states are sometimes taken literally by non-indigenous audiences who may lack the cultural context to understand their symbolic or metaphorical meanings. This can result in the belief that entire villages possess psychic abilities, rather than recognizing these practices as part of a complex spiritual worldview. 2.3. Community dynamics and the allure of the unknown. Online discussions reveal a strong desire for connection and understanding. Outsiders are often drawn to the idea of psychic villages by the promise of supernatural experiences and the allure of the unknown. At the same time, many forum participants emphasize the importance of respecting indigenous perspectives and not dismissing their stories as mere superstition. The result is a living, evolving mythos that